You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Well, g'day, legends. Welcome back to another episode of the Laptop Lifestyle Dad Show. I'm your host, Jeff Ross, here, tuning in from Tasmania, Australia today. Proud father of three amazing boys. And today we're going to dive into a journey of love, entrepreneurship, and global exploration. Before we do that, I'd like to just give you a little snippet each time of something that you don't know about me. One thing that people don't know about me is in my 20s, I used to ride bulls and I was a radio clown. I'd love to hear a little bit more from you because we're going to talk a little bit about this later on. We're going to talk about clarity and connection, right? And that is our number one asset. I actually personally met Michael Catlow back in 2021 on a trip in Hawaii. And I got to know Michael and Katie from that experience. And I've just watched their journey, transform their passion from travel into a thriving business, while embracing the integrated lifestyle of freedom and location independent lifestyle. You're not necessarily being stuck in one place and being able to be free and go where you want to go. So today we're going to unpack their story. We're going to discover how you can do this too and turn your dreams into a reality. So let's get started. So we've got Mr. Michael Catlow here, from overworked small business owner turned to globetrotter, digital nomad, having traveled to, I believe, over 63 countries, and correct me if I'm wrong there, Michael, and 6 continents now. And I'd love to just dive straight in, shall we?
Sure.
How did you take your individual journey? How did that lead to where you are on this path of digital nomadism, if that's even a word?
Yeah. Well, Jeff, it's an honor to be here again. When we first met in Hawaii, I mean, we had talked on Zoom, we had talked on Facebook Messenger, but to meet in person in a beautiful destination like Hawaii was so great. And to follow your journey over the past couple of years as well has been awesome. So it's an honor to be here. And yeah, man, back in 2010, I believe it was, I read a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Never read that book, right? For anybody listening or watching. The subtitle is Escape the 9 to 5, Live Anywhere, and Join the New Rich. And when I read that book, pardon my language, it pissed me off like when I read it, because I was stuck, going to meeting and traffic here and there.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way. And so that book was really the starting point for me to, be able to live anywhere, join the new rich, and escape the 9 to 5.
Yeah, wow. So I always like to unpack the origin story, right? So, just let's go back, before this whole, experience of globetrotting around the world now.
Yeah.
What was life like before this turning point?
Yeah. So life was actually really good. So I actually from the time I was born till the time I was in 3rd grade, I moved 9 times. So this idea of like travel and being around, I guess, was kind of born and bred into me with my dad's work. We moved around a bunch. But from 3rd grade until graduating high school, I was in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. here in the United States. And then I moved to North Carolina to go to college. And while I was in college, I decided to get into the business school and, thought I would go work for a bank. I would be a corporate executive or something like that. And I ended up starting a little small business as a school project in one of my college classes. They said, if you could do anything in the world and get paid to do it, we're going to do that as a semester-long project. And I ended up starting a mobile DJ business, kind of as a joke. But then that turned into a 14-year business where I had 19 people that worked for me, between DJs, photographers, videographers, full service wedding and event planners. And so with doing that amount of events, my life was, if you think about travel or you think about taking a vacation, but in the event space, all my events that I was booking were 6 months to a year to 18 months in advance. So if I wanted to plan a vacation, I had to plan it 2 years in advance, because with this event business, I had to build the business Monday through Friday during the week. And then at night, I had to meet with my customers because they had to work 9 to 5 jobs. And then I did the events on
Mm.
the weekend. So I was working 7 days a week. So that idea of the 4-hour work week sounded far-fetched, sounded way too, out there, but it really inspired me when I read that book. So it was good. I was making a ton of money. I was having fun. I was partying for a living, but there was no way that I could take a vacation. There was a big, bold, beautiful world out there that I wanted to go see. And so that book was really the start to it.
Yeah, okay. So life was good. Like you were working, hustling and grinding pretty hard by the sound of it.
Yeah.
And things were going in the right direction. And did you have a sense of purpose while you were building that DJ business though?
Yeah, and actually, let me back up for a second, because when you're there's an old phrase that says, like, when your income goes up, sometimes you think your IQ goes up, and so I
Yeah.
thought I was smarter than I was. So thinking back during that time frame, I also ended up in 297,000 US dollars of credit card debt, because
Mm.
I had a bad real estate transaction that went bad, blah blah blah. So yes, everything was good, and then it was not really good. And so
Yeah.
I was reading that book. I was also in the space of, I've got to restart my life, because when you ask about purpose, when I first started that business, like, I was like, this is the greatest job in the world. I get to be,
Mm.
because there's really only 2 times in a person's life where all your family, your friends, your coworkers, like the people you love, are together. One is a wedding and one is a funeral. And I get a chance
Yeah.
to be part of this celebration of 2 families coming together. And I felt very purposeful. But over
Mm.
time, as I had gotten involved in other projects and stuff like that, that purpose had started to wane, which is actually where I started to do some other projects. And that's where I got into financial troubles and so forth. And so it was like, all right, I need to restart my life. And if I was going to restart my life, I actually want it to be a, like, fulfilling, purpose driven, approach. And that's what then said, I just want to travel the world, help people, and do really cool things.
Yeah, I find that like we essentially go what we're talking about is the second stage of life, right?
And
Where we have a deeper sense of mission, if you will. And the mission matters most. It's not necessarily transactional. We'll do whatever it takes to achieve the mission. And
yeah.
so with what you're doing now in the travel space and, helping others to do the same thing, what is the mission behind what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with a selfish side that then leads into the selfless way.
Yeah, of
Uh, gro-
course.
yeah, growing up with like very, very, very low middle class kind of upbringing, didn't have money. It's funny, when I was in ninth grade, I only owned 2 pairs of shorts and 2 shirts when I was in high school, and that would only equal 4 outfits in a week. And I remember on a Thursday, I won't mention the name in case this person happens to watch the podcast, but a friend of mine named Leslie, I won't say her last name, I heard her whispering to a friend, I wonder what outfit Mike's going to wear tomorrow, because there was only 4 combinations that you could do. This was on a Thursday. And so it was at that point where I was like, man, there's got to be something more, right, than like being poor, being stuck, being frustrated, because that's kind of where my upbringing was. And so the selfish side is, as I started to change my goals, my purpose, my mission, my goals, my just things that I wanted to do, I wanted to go see the world. And as I did that,
Mm.
was like hiking Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa or scuba diving the Great Barrier Reef. The internal transformation that happened for me to be able to accomplish this thing that I had dreamed of doing since I was 6 years old, watching the National Geographic Channel. That has led into, I know what it's like to struggle. And so I also know what it's like to use that struggle as fuel to then move forward to do the things that we want to do. So selfishly, I want to see all the really cool things in this world. I want to do lots of really neat experiences. And I know how it transformed me. So I know there's 8 billion people on planet Earth that I have to imagine have dreams, goals, desires, things they want to see as well. And so if there's anything that we can do to help either just inspire, encourage, or provide tools and resources and connections to help them achieve those dreams, for me, it's in the space of travel, right?
Mm.
There's people that love all, health and wellness and all of that. To me, it's really about travel and experience and creating memories with family and friends. So yeah, it's that selfish
I,
side to achieve that, but then pass that on to others.
and I find that's where the real mission starts, right? It's a core need to transform your own life. And then
Yeah.
when you get into that space, it becomes bigger than you. And then it's about helping others to do the same thing. And
Yeah.
and this is leadership. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
And leadership in this true positioning is that it's guiding, right? You're guiding people to help them get out of Sucksville and take them to Awesometown where you are now. So I love that. This conversation where I'm taking this now is to get into the some of the technical around on how to do this, right? So it all starts here, right? We have that dream to transform our lives to be something bigger a purpose than what we're in now, stuck in the rat race, so to speak. There's more to life. For me, I'm very passionate these days about helping find their voice, because I know my own voice was not necessarily being able to express in a clear, concise way. And, I had such a yearning and a burden to be able to just burst out of there and share the gift with the world to be able to help others to do the same thing.
It's amazing.
And I know when we could find our voice, we can find purpose and we can
Right.
get clarity around that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So we all have this mission, this calling, if you will, that's something that's on our lives, and very few actually go and achieve it. Very few actually want to start to achieve it.
Yeah.
So let's talk to that. Let's get from the point of Sucksville, which whatever that looks like for you. Stuck in your 9 to 5, stuck in your grind, stuck in your hustle, stuck in that burdensome lifestyle that essentially got the foot on your neck, keeping you small, to then transition into living this life full of purpose and mission, and going out there and creating a life by design. To our entrepreneurs that are just starting to venture out into this space. A lot of frustrated network and affiliate marketers, a lot of people wanting to learn how to make money online and create that freedom of purpose for their lives. What advice would you have to someone who's just getting started in that space?
Well, Jeff, I wrote down Sucksville and Awesometown. I love that language. And as you were sharing and bringing that up, I asked my wife Katie to go grab something from a little tub that we carry around with me. And so, and what'd you say?
No, I'm just laughing. Yeah,
Oh,
I agree.
okay. So, some people create vision boards or dream boards and so forth, and I used to do that as well. But as we travel around, because we don't have a fixed home, we've chosen a life of adventure instead. I had to bring
Mm,
something that I could carry around with me, and so I have a vision book. But there's a couple things that I want to show on here. So, if you can see, I'm Michael Catlow. I'm on a mission to positively impact as many people as possible, and then in here there are like affirmations and things like that. But the real thing, because as I travel around the world and I talk with people, sometimes I don't even know who they are, just random question to like the server at the restaurant or whatever. When you said everybody has a voice, I believe that with every ounce of blood in my body, to the
yeah,
depth of my soul, every fiber of my being. But I think a lot of people don't think about it enough. They forget
no,
it. So anybody who's got that little flame, or a little spark inside, like they need to put air on that flame. They need to bring it back up. And the way that I figured out to do that for me was I had to come up with what I wanted, right? In a dream world, in a pretend world, in a fairy tale world, if I could have it all my way, what would I want it to look like? So that's on the front, but on the back,
mm,
I have Michael Catlow, shut up and demonstrate.
I love it. Show don't tell.
Yeah, instead of just talking about it. Now, like, I have to talk about it in order to figure out what I want or
Of
what I don't,
course.
but it's like, just shut up, and nobody else, who cares what anybody else thinks about your dreams, about your goals, about your strengths, about your gifts? Like, they're yours. They're your gifts. They're your goals. They're your
Mm,
strengths. They're your gifts. And when I realized that, like, even like I just said, if I don't do this stuff, I'm going to go to my grave with regret. And I didn't want that. And so to me, it's you got
Powerful
to,
motivator.
yeah, you got to dream about what you want and then just shut up and go do it. So this is a book I carry around with me everywhere I go.
I love that, and the visual reminders that are there in your face. It's tangible. Yeah, really, really awesome.
Well,
So
and
something else is.
sorry, one other
Wait, go.
quick thing on that. So also, I don't want it to sound like pie in the sky because there's dark days, there's down days, there's
Yeah, yeah,
sad
of course.
days. So in addition to that, when I have those moments, I also have in the back of my book a list of the cool accomplishments that I have already done. So that way,
Yeah, well done.
if I'm not feeling inspired or very dreamy, I can go, you know what, Michael, you actually have done this. And it doesn't have to be travel to 60 countries. It started out with, you know what, you actually made the decision to go travel. And then it builds from there and builds from there. So it's the
Yeah.
dream, it's the reminder that you are capable, and it's the demonstration of just going to do it.
Yeah, well, it's the be, do, have, right? And so that doing part is where a lot of people seem to stumble over, though. Like they get up in their own heads and they get into the excuses and the blame or whatever it was. But as I'm reflecting here, look, I'm just reflecting. Like I met you in Hawaii in 2021 in person. We started the whole journey in January 2021, and like I came into this space with all of the excitement, all of the passion, some skill sets, but I totally sucked at it when I first started, right? And so what I had to come to realize was I was attached to other people's opinions,
Yeah.
and B, that attachment was setting me up to make sure I was performing, and performing to other people's expectations that I had put on myself.
Yeah.
So, social media, it's a beautiful tool. And people have created massive influences on it today and massive businesses on it today. So it's a very competitive space though, because it's very noisy.
Yeah.
So, this is why I do what I do to help people to find their voice, to elevate themselves out of the noise, to raise above it. But I'd love to hear from your experience, from your wisdom. Let's talk a bit more about the social selling, attraction marketing side.
Sure.
How would you help someone get started, and what advice would you have for those people?
Yeah. So we'll take it from a couple different angles. But the first angle is so we listen to a lot of podcasts as well, and specifically Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V, right? I
Yeah, I love that one.
love his content. And when he said social media is like networking on steroids. So before
Yes.
social media, all of my business was done face to face networking with small business owners. And then something that he shared that we just kind of operate by this philosophy. He said, if your local town gave you a free page ad in the newspaper every single day, and it was free, you could put whatever you wanted, would you take advantage of that? And the answer is yes. Now, what if it was in your state? What if it was all across your country? What if it was all across the world and you could do a free full page ad? Would you do it? And that's what social media is. And then the second thing that has really stood out to us, because we don't have huge followings like the millions and millions and hundreds of thousands of people, but a whole nother shift that's happened, and you can elaborate on this way better than we can, but the whole interest media versus followers. Like if you
Yes.
put out the
I'm
content,
glad you picked that up.
yeah, as niche as you want, as specific as you want, then the people that are looking for that are going to find it, or those that are in that kind of
Yeah.
space are going to find you. And so that was the thing we had to overcome was, well, do we need to build this whole following or build this whole list? And the answer was no. You just need to love what you do and put out content, and those that are going to be interested are going to find it. And so it's love what you do and be as loud and proud as you can. And you don't have to be like gregarious and lots of energy and all of that stuff, because some people do it just through writing on LinkedIn or whatever. So
Yeah.
whether it's audio, video, writing, scripted or off the cuff, or a TV show or a podcast, it's just find your voice and like live it, breathe it, and do it.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the whole thing too, right? When we get out of this whole performance anxiety and the fear around trying to perform, trying to sell people, and we shift to go to just being of service,
Yeah.
and just being a person who genuinely connects with people and
Yeah.
is genuinely there to serve and help people move forward. That
Yeah.
is the big shift. And so what I wanted to really unpack, and you've done that beautifully, is social media is just a tool. It's
That's right.
just a platform to help us to express our voice, right? To connect with people around the world globally.
That's right.
So, let's talk a bit more about shifting from sales to service,
Sure.
because I think this is a big conversation that needs to be highlighted, especially in our world. A lot of people come into this, and what I see left, right, and center, I'm sure you do too. And one of the reasons I do what I do is to help to combat this issue. Is a lot of people just get into people's inboxes and they direct pitch, they link spam, and I think it's because they don't know any better,
Yeah.
right? So, what would be some advice that you would give to someone to help them to avoid having to do that because that's all they know how to do, to
Yeah.
help them to shift into this space of service instead?
Yeah, well, a mentor of mine years and years and years ago, this was an old school philosophy, but it's just as applicable with social media. So in the United States, for those of you who don't know, we have American football and we have something called the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl is like the biggest, game, a million, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people around the world watch it, whatever the numbers are. And this mentor of mine said, all right, if you had 30 seconds at the Super Bowl, like in the arena, right? In the stadium, and you had a like a bullhorn or you had the microphone and you can make an announcement about your service, your product, your good, your offering to the world, would you try to, because you've got millions of people watching, would you try to sell every single one of them that are there in 30 seconds, or would you just be looking for those that are looking for you? And you would say,
Mm,
hey, whatever affiliate program or network marketing program or whatever, if this product is of interest to you, meet me at exit number 2. If you'd like to sell this product and make money, meet me at exit number 5, right? And that's all you have is 30 seconds. So it's really just like, this is who I am. This is what we do. This is what we have. If it's of interest to you, let me know. And so it is this blend, though, because sometimes you can make a post, but a lot of people will post and hope, as they say, right?
yeah,
Hope somebody's
yeah.
going to do that. So sometimes there is a direct message in there. But if that direct message is, I want to sell you something versus an engaging question that's not a scripted
Mm,
question, I mean, it can be a scripted question, but it has to be asked in the way that is of service and about that person. I think intention makes a lot of difference and people can feel that. A mutual friend of ours in Australia, actually, he had said to me years ago, he said, Mike, people's bullshit meters are really, really high. And so
yeah,
stop BSing people. Like, just be
yeah.
you, be real. Is this of interest? Cool. If not, cool.
Yeah, and I actually say to people that trust is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
So we have a responsibility as leaders in whatever industry and aspiring leaders to focus on connection, to build trust, and trust leads to influence, which
Yes.
then leads you to into position of service, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's our ultimate goal is to go build trust first. I
Yeah.
love that. Thanks, Mike. So you and Katie, you travel around the world. You're on the road all the time. You're in a beautiful location. Where are you right now?
We're in a boring location today, but I say boring just because it was my hometown. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina, just for a few days before heading back out.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, cool, cool, cool.
Katie's
Where are you heading off to next?
well, Katie's nephew is graduating this weekend, so she's going up to Vermont with her dad for the
Oh,
graduation
nice.
and so forth. Niece, not nephew. I'm sorry, but
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good that you can still stay connected with family at times and go off then to another exotic location. So where are you off to next?
well, we've got several options planned. So we've actually got a trip to hike the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu plan,
Oh,
which is
wow.
one of the seven wonders of the world. That's been a dream of
Yeah.
mine to do. We've got an adults only cruise that we've got booked. We've got a trip to Cancun, Mexico, that we're actually bringing a group down there with us. We are with our house sitting that we do. We have this ridiculously, like, spectacularly beautiful house on the Gulf of Mexico down in Florida for our 4th of July, which is our Independence Day. We're thinking about doing an Ireland castles tour in September. So we've got lots of things coming up.
Brilliant. I'm actually off to Japan with my son Harrison
I saw
next
a couple
week.
days. Yeah, a couple days. Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
that.
Yeah, 5
Amazing.
days away. So yeah, we're heading over to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. So it's gonna
Nice.
be cool. You been to
Yeah.
Japan before?
No, but it's on our list. We ask people all the time, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? And like the past year, there's been probably the number one answer people give is Japan over the past
Yeah,
year. It's been
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a different cultural experience for sure.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys maintain a healthy working relationship while working with each other, traveling together? Like, most people can't be in the same room for all that time. So, how do you guys maintain that healthy relationship?
Yeah, I think the phrase that I would say is self-awareness over everything. And so the things
Yeah.
that we do may not be applicable for somebody who's listening or watching, right? So for me, if I am in the same place for an extended period of time, I go bonkers. And then I am not a pleasant person to be around for my wife. So I have to know for my, she just kind of rolled her eyes in a funny way, like behind the computer. So for me, I know now at 49 years old, I'll be turning 50 next year. Like I have to have an adventure planned. I have to have
Yeah.
something like that.
Working towards something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also like figuring out our roles. And sometimes that, I mean, it sounds as cliche as it is, but if I try to do things that she's good at and she tries to do things that I'm good at, sometimes as a solopreneur or freelancer or small business owner or affiliate marketer, especially like a partnership or a couples, you sometimes have to do those things when you're working together, but it
Mm.
spirals us downhill really quickly. So when we get to stay in our lane and I get to hang out and talk with amazing people like Jeff, right? And do cool things like this, I become my highest and best use, which then makes me a better partner for my wife and business partner.
Yeah. Self-awareness is key, right? Knowing, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, what lights you up and what puts you in toxic environments. It's been definitely one of those things that have helped me as an entrepreneur and working from home. Yes.
That's why I keep this around as a reminder. Yeah.
Yeah. So for our listeners who are tuning in and they're wondering, how does Michael and Katie, travel the world, be digital nomads, they may be looking to embark on a similar journey. First off, what advice would you have for them and how can they get started?
Sure. And we get asked that question a lot. And then we also get some pushback with that question. So I want to frame it a little bit differently. To do what we do, which is make money in the travel industry, like as a
Mm,
side hustle, a part time income, or even a full time income, the vast, like 99% of people are not digital nomads, right? They are not traveling around the world. They have their house, they have their kids, they have school, they have that, and so forth.
yeah.
So, plenty of ways for people to make money in the travel industry. Now, for those that want to be maybe nomadic or location independent or home free or travel the world, having epic experiences, first thing I would say is it's actually cheaper than you would think it to be. We
Mm,
between Katie and I, we've been to over 100 countries between the two of us. We've been 6 continents. We haven't yet done Antarctica. It's coming up on the list soon. But our most epic year that we've ever had, 22 countries, 6 world wonders. Like we were on a flight every 7 days if you averaged it out. Like we spent a month in Brazil, a
yeah.
month in Mexico, but then we were in Australia. That whole year, every single dollar that we spent for everything, 6 continents, 6 world wonders, 22 countries, like the Colosseum in Rome, like the Eiffel Tower, all this stuff, it was cheaper to do that than it was to live in Charlotte, North Carolina with a mortgage, insurance,
Yeah.
gym membership,
I
like
believe it.
all that stuff. So if somebody wants to be like home free, a digital nomad, location independent, you just have to have that spark. And if you have that desire, and if it's like a 8 out of 10, maybe a 7.5 out of 10, you'll figure out a way to do it. If it's a 6 out of 10,
Yeah.
figure out how to get to a 7 out of 10 from like a burning desire, and then you'll figure it out. There's a gazillion ways that people can do it.
Yeah, like my Sarah and I are looking to do it in the next few years. The only reason we're not doing it sooner is because we've spoken to our boys. They're really settled in school. They like their friend groups, and we don't want to be selfish and take them out of that space. So
Yeah.
we've chosen to park it for 5 years and revisit it then. But that's definitely something that we want to do too as well.
Yeah.
Um, so what is to wrap up? What is a must-have travel gadget that you just have to have in your kit? What's a gadget that everybody needs while they're traveling?
So a phone charging block is one, and we have a solar powered and one that can plug in via USB. There you go. Yep. Does yours have solar power on it as well?
No, it doesn't have solar power.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know that. I didn't know you could get solar powered ones.
yeah, we got it in the US. We use Amazon a lot, so we got it. It was like $50 or something like that. So a cell phone charger, that is a must. That can charge like 2 or 3 phones in one day, just in case. So that's a must. The other thing would be I would say very versatile clothing
Okay.
that you can wash in the sink, right? And that will dry
Mm.
quickly. That makes a big difference if you're full-time traveling.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I went to India last year, and we definitely could have done with versatile clothing over in India.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
just one last question. What's your favorite destination you've been to? And I bet you this is a hard question to answer.
It's a hard one because each location is different, right? But Santorini, Greece, is one of the most spectacularly beautiful places in the world. The pyramids of Egypt blow me away. Like, you have to see the pyramids at some point. And then for me, like, I love Mexico. I love the Mexican food. I love it feels like Hawaii, but it's about a tenth of the cost. So yeah,
Yeah.
Santorini, Greece, the pyramids of Egypt, and Mexico are 3 favorites.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool. Well, let's wrap it up. I always like to close up with a bit of a dad joke, to keep the dad speam in there within laptop lifestyle dad. So here's one for you. I married my beautiful wife for her looks, just not the ones that she gives me these days. You'll have to use that one day. Well, mate, thank you very much. And for our listeners tuning in, thank you very much for all your support. We really appreciate you. This podcast is brought to you and hosted by the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. My name's Jeff Ross. We've been talking to Michael Catlow today. And make sure you go and hit all the normal social channels, Apple, YouTube, what is it, Spotify, and make sure you go and subscribe and share this episode out with the world. Hey, Michael, before we go, I believe, what's the website? Where can people connect with you, and how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. Across pretty much all social media, just the Catlows. So Katie and I share a profile. So, I mean, I have my own personal ones, but most of our stuff is the Catlows. So thecatlows.com and then at the Catlows pretty much across all social media.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, if you've been interested to learn how to become a digital nomad traveling the world, make sure you connect with them at thecatlows.com. And we'll make sure all those links and details are in the show notes for you. And you can go and explore how you can turn your passion for travel into a profitable venture for your lifestyle. Remember, the journey only starts when you take the first single step. Thank you for your time, and bye for now.